In September 1974, 7-year-old Patty Kuzara was walking back home from a friend's house in Poway, but she never arrived. Her body was found the next day.
In tonight's True Crime File, CBS 8's Carla Chiquetto revisits Patty's murder and a person of interest that could unlock the mystery of who killed Patty Lee Kuzara.
A line of sheriff's deputies scours an open field in Poway in early October of 1974, searching for any more clues missed in the brutal murder of 7-year-old Patty Kuzara. Patty was walking home from her babysitter's house on the evening of September 28th, but never made it past this open field near Hilleary Place and Community Road. The crime shook the quiet community to the core, as CBS 8's Greg Lefebvre reported.
Emotions are running high in Poway this week, authorities say, with more parents checking on the whereabouts of their children and checking more often.
Patty Kuzara's body was found in this empty lot, and investigators say there was a sexual component to the crime. The killer was never found.
I was walking around the fog for a couple of years, so I literally was, but now it's just buried in the past somewhere.
Patty's father, Dennis, talked to us about the case on Zoom from his home in Tennessee. He remembers how the murder weapon was found days after Patty's body was discovered.
We feel that possibly this murder weapon was picked up by a child or some other person walking through the field and subsequently disposed of.
Investigators initially working the crime scene missed the 3-foot steel post from a nearby barricade. They followed up with this massive ground search about a week later. Dennis Kuzara was frustrated at the time by how the investigation was handled.
It was just a whole comedy of errors. It wasn't a comedy, it was a tragedy of errors, actually.
Today, Poway looks more city than country. The then empty lot is now a shopping center.
With their hands.
We met up with San Diego Sheriff's cold case detective Brent Spencer in a nearby open lot, similar to where Patty was found.
What were the first thoughts that investigators had? Where did their investigation lead them to start?
They looked locally. This seemed like a crime committed by an individual who knew the area.
Spencer tells us it was a particularly brutal crime.
Patricia wasn't just struck once, she was struck multiple times with an iron and wood sign post to the point that this was almost overkill in the sense of who did this to her. It was perpetrated extremely violently, and she must have been extremely fearful to have walked through that field in an area that she's not used to just to get away from this individual.
As to who did it, investigators do have a person of interest who had been described as a possible witness to the crime in the weeks after it happened. A teenage boy with long blonde hair seen riding a yellow 10-speed bike in the area around the time Patty was murdered.
What I can tell you is he was a resident of Poway. He knew the area. He did go to high school here at that point. He was seen that night in that area, and he did confirm that.
There seems to be a misunderstanding between Dennis Kuzara and the Sheriff's Department. He says he was told in recent years that the boy on the bike was the killer, but Detective Spencer says that's still to be determined. Spencer hopes that they will eventually be able to develop DNA evidence that will either identify or eliminate that boy on the bike as the killer. He wants justice for Patty.
She's forever a 7-year-old girl who had her life taken from her.
For Dennis Kuzara, finding Patty's killer would help him close the door on the past for good, rather than burying his memories and emotions.
It's been so long, it's more like a bad dream than anything else. I would like to have some closure on
it. A living nightmare, really, for that family.
Yeah.
As for the boy on the bike, detectives tell us he died in recent years, but they're still working to clarify his role, if any, in Patty Kuzara's murder.
If you happen to have any information on this case, you're asked to please contact the San Diego County Sheriff's Department's Cold Case Unit.